Hello, my name is Maxwell Ogaga, and I'm excited that you're tuned into Dear Timothy's Ministry Stories. Today, it's an exciting day to be alive, and I trust that you've been enjoying all our episodes with all the ministers of the gospel that we're bringing your way. Today, it's my special honor and privilege to be interviewing my dad, who happens to be my biological dad and my spiritual father also. Along the journey of ministry, teaching the message of the kingdom in the nations of the earth. So he's going to be sharing quite a lot of things with us, and I trust that you will be blessed by this particular episode. Dr. David, I want to welcome you to today's episode of Dear Timothy's Ministry Stories. And so basically, you're going to be sharing your ministry story with us. And I'm trusting that a lot of ministers from around the world would get blessed by your own story. So let me start from the beginning. My grandparents, who are your parents, I know were not believers when you accepted the Lord. How was it for you at that stage accepting the Lord when your parents were not believers? Can you just share with us how that whole thing started?
Okay, well, just like you mentioned, my dad, my mom, they were not believers. I would say they were idol worshippers. And I was with them in the system too, grew up in the midst of all of that until when I left my university education, I got a job in River State. And somewhere along the line, I was there for 8 years. But almost the sixth year, an incident happened in the school. People were coming they want to cheat in the exam, so I refused because then I was serving as one of the White Brigade officers. We had instruction from the government to be able to sanitize society. So because of that, they felt that I came to disrupt their educational system. And so they wanted to kill me. So they planned they're going to kill me. So one of the students informed me that I should get out of the city. The village. So actually I left the village to another village with one of my uncles where he was staying. So I was there, but then I felt, at a stage I was just thinking about what is going on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do good and this and that. So I now requested for a Bible for one of my cousins on Friday now, son to Alaska. I said, can I have your Bible? So he gave me the Bible. Then I bought one book like that on fasting. Nobody really instructed me on that. I was just thinking about my life. What is going on? Why must I suffer for trying to do good? So I just started reading the book and reading the Bible and fasting and praying. So I did that for about 3-4 days. And somehow I just got moved to get stuck with the Bible. And then outside of that, I also was thinking along the line that, the one that was next to you died, Ray. Young boy, child grew up and then he died. And at that time too, but before my experience in John Kramanau, we went to a lot of herbalist home, traditional healers. They promised me the child is going to survive. We did everything, but nothing happened. So I was just thinking, why will all this thing be happening to me? And yet I'm serving these idols, my parents are there. I just had a rethink about the whole thing. So I would say that's when I accepted
the salvation experience.
Yeah.
Now, with your parents accepting the Lord, was it okay for them? How was that relationship going back home, knowing that?
Now, what triggered the whole thing in their mind to accepting my conviction was experience also. Like in our family, you don't eat snail. There's a Congo meat. If you eat it, your skin will start scaling. The scaling like lizard and falls will coming out of your body. They have to do some sacrifices to cool this down or to purify you, as a matter of fact. So what happened was after my conversion, I traveled to Port Harcourt, main town, and then I visited a restaurant. In fact, my friend, the wife was having a restaurant, so we got there. So in order to entertain me, he asked me if I eat snail. I said, yes, I do. I just said out of faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they brought the snail and they brought Coke. So I ate the snail and everything. And then I washed my skin and find that it was still very okay. I washed it the second day. I traveled back to the village.
Yeah.
It was still okay. 1 week, I'm fine. Second week, I'm fine. So I decided to travel home. So I'm getting back home. I was coming. My mom normally, if she gets to know I'm coming, she run to the road to embrace me, and because incidentally I was the only child. So then, as she was coming, so I just mentioned it that I ate snail. She ran back. Instead of coming close, she just decided to withdraw and start calling on my dad. You better come on. Our child is snail. You need to go and get sacrifices now, so on and so forth. So by the time I got close, so my dad said, but your skin is still okay. So what happened? Who made the sacrifices for you? I said, nobody. He said, how come about it? So when did you eat the snail? I said, 2 weeks now. So how did you get this? I said, Jesus. So if that's the case, this your Jesus, serve him well.
Yeah.
So that was just it. So subsequently, if I'm coming back and assuming they are having your sacrifices, once they get to know I'm on the way, they will pack up. If they can instantly pack them up, they'll get something to cover them. For a number of days I stay in the house, they won't do anything. So that's,
and I think that's an amazing testimony. And it's important we look at that, because today we've got, this whole generational curses, things your father did and all of that going on. I also think it's very important that the truth of who we are in Christ, being born again, is rated very strong. That if any man is in Christ, he's a new creature. How did your journey to ministry start? Because now you're a teacher, so how did your whole journey to ministry start?
Okay.
Knowing the background you're coming from, knowing all these experiences, how did the call to ministry start? Just sharing that experience.
Well, that one also, it came in after that experience briefly in Timbiama there. When I got back, I started looking for what I would call a living church. Because what we had in the place were all Baptist churches. And so I was able to find a Deeper Life Bible Church. So I was attending Deeper Life Bible Church. And when I come back to the village, that is to Isoko this way, I'll be attending CAC, Christ Apostolic Church. So that's how it was. And then at a stage, I know my first experience, in fact, was when I attended CAC Church. Now, unlike Prophet Oboe, the kind of a thing. He just called me up. Then I have, not up to 6 months. He just called me up in the midst of the congregation and said, the Lord said you should preach. I said, preach what? He said, no, the Lord said you should preach this night. So I didn't know what to do. I had my little Bibles. I just picked it. And then I went up on the podium and I just opened to, I think, the book of First Peter also, and talking about those in Cappadocia, writing letters to those in Cappadocia, Miana, and all that. I was just reading through it like that, and a lot of things started happening. The congregation was being moved, being touched, and so it was such a wonderful night. Myself, I was surprised because I didn't know what was going on. So, but we're done with that. And then in the morning of it, one of the prophetess called the prophet himself, that is Oboe now, and he said, when this man was teaching, I saw this vision. It was very high up on a mountain with a long, a cable, microphone coming down, and it was a big field, and everybody was listening and hearing what he was teaching. But then somebody came in, a woman came in and caught the cable so that they won't hear his voice. So, but when that happened, we discovered that all of us were still hearing, even though the cable was cut off, So he came, so the man came and told me that you are going to be used of God and all of those things. Well, I just said, okay, fine, that's fine. Because I have no inclination. I went back, and then the turning point as touching the things I teach and all of that was, I traveled to to Port Harcourt. To Port Harcourt. And then I met one of my cousins, Zebulon by name.
Yeah.
And so I spent the night. He was a very fervent believer. He was working with a Jeep, something like that. Then as I was leaving, he gave me a little tract called Ye Are Gods. It's written by Dr. Olutade. So I started reading that tract all the way from Port Harcourt to Imbiama. And I was really touched because that's the kind of thing I was actually looking for. Yeah, I said, man, this is a standard. Because I wasn't satisfied with all of those worships and all that. So instantly I came down to this way again. Because in my higher institution, I flirted with these societies like Resurrection Order, you know. I even read some books, some Great Message. I read the 2 volumes and all that. You know, people were actually trying to get me into all of those things. So I saw the perception, the way, they think about life. No. So I wasn't satisfied with what was being offered in these churches, you know, even though I had no option, but I was just there. So, but when I read this, I was okay, fine. This is a higher standard. Yeah. So I came in, I called the man, Dr. Lutade of Ilori, Glory Knowledge Center. He now asked me, I came to come. So I traveled down there. So when I traveled there, he was very happy that at least I got to know him through the track. I spent, I think, the weekend there. And then he gave me the messages of Dr. Hallowite from the United States. So, and then he said he teaches about the kingdom and all of those things. So I picked those messages and then I came to Isoko. I duplicated them and then sent them back. The condition was, if I must return the tape, I can get others. But if I can't return them, I will get any other one. And you know, traveling to Ilori then, it's almost a whole day, 6 to 6. So we did that. So I was always going there to collect tapes. So I was able to build up a library. And even to duplicate the tape, you have this Conion thing that it run, and it was 90 minutes tape. So I would travel there and come back. So maybe about 2 weeks time, I'll go back. So I have to build up a library of a cassette of Hallowite. So I was always listening to them with these small battery tapes. So that's how I started. And then I would go to, and then along the line also, I got a magazine given to me by one Perefu, the sergeant. Yeah, it was by this ACMTC, Aggressive Christianity here. So I read it and it was so challenging. In fact, that one, because I was speaking to him, and he was telling me that the things you are talking about, there are some people that are saying similar thing in the US. I said, what are they? He said, they're called ACMTC. So he gave me the magazine, Walk in Dominion. I read it. I said, man, this is it. This is exactly what I'm looking for. And then in the night, the Lord also spoke to me from the book of Acts, I think chapter 9. And he said, go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them. You know, the vision that Peter had concerning the angels that were sent by Cornelius. So he gave me that. So instantly, I wrote to them. And then they started sending me magazines, started sending me tapes, you know. So I also, at that stage, started representing them, in Nigeria, and so on and so forth. So that's how. And then when I go to I was so zealous, if I would put it that way. When I go to the classroom for teachers, the staff, I'll be teaching on the board, writing on the blackboard, and you know. So that's how the whole thing started.
So let's take a look at. I mean, you've shared a bit. We'll come back to your story. What role did that zeal and that passion play in your fulfilling ministry? Because, you know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the laying on of hands, impartation of mantle, but we're almost in a generation today where it's almost like looking for the popular speaker, the highest speaker, take some seat there, lay hands on you. And what role did that passion and that zeal play in God using you today to teach around the world? What do you think that role played in terms of being passionate and the discipline, traveling that far to get materials? Do you think that played a very active role in God using you today to teach?
Yeah, it is, because you find that it's similar to what you find in the life of Moses. He has a passion for God, even though he was still in Egypt. That's what led him to kill the man. Even when he was driven, or as it were, left Egypt, he was still very passionate. You understand that? And somehow God now left him to Jethro. who was a priest of Media.
Yeah.
Now, we know he was not an idol worshiper. The priest of Media was from the tribe of Midian, one of the concubine child of Abraham. That is why Jethro was able to instruct Moses on erecting the altar. So the passion actually led to that.
Yeah.
You find the same thing with Joshua. Joshua was always in the temple, even when nobody is there. You see, God did not directly call Joshua.
That's right.
Good.
That's right.
Moses have to. So, like people like Omole and Olutade, they saw the kind of passion that was in my life, and they were actually investing in my life.
All right.
You know, drawing me closer. And I was actually very passionate to get deeper, to know more.
Yeah.
Because especially coming from the background I was,
Yeah.
you know, like you know, my father was such a dynamic man, if I may use the word, in that dimension. So I felt challenged that if my father, who doesn't know God, can do so much stuff,
Yeah.
there is something better and deeper than what he was doing.
Yeah.
So that thing continuously driving me,
To,
you know.
to study.
That's
Yeah.
it.
So let's talk about getting into full-time ministry, because that's where, you know, my own story came in. Because I mean, growing up, knew you as a teacher. I knew you wanted to become a lecturer. Things were a bit okay. I mean, not wealthy, but yeah, for a teacher, things were just decent until the Lord now says, yeah, go into full-time ministry. How was that journey for you, having to leave everything and answer the call? How was that for your parents? Being the only child, you need to look after your parents, you're married, you had kids. How was that journey? Because we're also looking at people watching this and finding their stories within your story. Maybe there might be a young person right now who is in that place and is watching. Is this thing possible? Just share with us that whole journey about answering the call to full time.
Oh, well, that also was, ordinarily, I was not prepared for full-time ministry. Just like you said, the only child of my parents, and I was trying to say, okay, I must work to do something for them, to keep them going. But even as I came into this faith, that was actually in 1988. And that same year, the Lord spoke to me to read Revelation 10:11.
Yeah.
And he said, "This have touched your tongue, you shall prophesy to nations." That's after writing the little scroll. You shall prophesy to nations, to tongues, and to people. I was like, what is the meaning of this? I don't even have an understanding about it. And then 1991 again, he asked me to read that's Revelation 10:11. I read that. While along, I was just thinking about it. Then somewhere within the community, I started, people were not coming to make inquiries.
Okay.
Those from Baptist background, about the things I started saying and teaching and sharing with people. So they were coming in the night to find out. I learned you are saying this. I learned yourself. Yes. And I will explain to them about the kingdom of God and so on and so forth. It got to a point, about 3 of them came and said, let's come to be doing Bible study with you.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. So I was having a room and parlor in a sitting room. And so I moved my everything out. So I turned the parlor into the fellowship. So every Wednesday they come, we sit on the parlor. You know, I teach. And then I will copy my notes on the blackboard. I have the blackboard now in my parlor. So the parlor was serving for now both the ministry and my sitting room.
Yeah.
So I would write on the blackboard. People were coming, some of them from Baptist Church, some even from Deeper Life. Like there was one of them, what do you call him? Dapper, who said he had a revelation. He was casting a net, and I was on the shore of a river. And I was preaching, and then the voice said, go and join that man. So he came and met with me. He was a pastor in Baptist Church, Deeper Life at Akenema. So he came and said, this is what the Lord told him, and they would like to work with me. I said, okay, fine, but I'm not doing full-time ministry, and I just do Bible study. He said, yeah, you just want to be there. So that's okay, fine. So we started the ministry in the parlor. Some teachers in the school joined, and we call it Tree of Life Knowledge Ministry. So we're going on like that. And then we had a crusade in the town, a combined churches, right? So we had a crusade. I was asked to be the one to speak. I felt I was too young in the faith to do that. So I went and started speaking, and while I was speaking, a lot of things were going on. I remember my principal collapsed. I mean, she fell under the power of the Spirit, fell down. And so the next day she came to me and said, "You are not supposed to be with us." I said, "What do you mean by that?" I said, "This is not your place.
Wow.
Go out of this place." So I said, No. I'm not ready for that. So we'll continue. Then until at a stage, I left the place,
Yeah.
which was 1991, to University of Port Harcourt as a lecturer. I was there with that Emotion Secondary School, and then somewhere along the line again, I had an encounter. This encounter was such that it was about 1 a.m. in the night. Rain fell that day, everywhere was very cold, and then I was playing with a friend who was also a lecturer there. And then I find that my heart was expanding. I said, "What is going on?" Literally, I was sweating. I literally saw that I was dying.
Wow.
So, and I said, "Oh Lord, is this the way I'm going to die?" Then I heard a voice, Proverbs chapter 9, verse 11. And he said, "By me shall your days be multiplied, by me shall your years be increased." I said, "Okay, Lord, I will go." So instantly, I have to resign. Wrote a resignation to the university authority, and I left. And then I came back home to Imbiama again, because still I was not too convinced. So I didn't see myself going to do full-time ministry. I just feel that I need the comfort of the money.
Yeah.
So I came back, and then somebody now told me, "You put in about 8 years already. You can just do 2 years, and then you can move into retirement. Government can retire you if you do 2 years." So I said, "Okay, fine." So I worked my transfer now down to Delta State, and then I became a vice principal for 2 years. 92, that's around 91 now to 92, 93. So while I was there, again, I started the ministry there. Started the ministry. Then in 1991 again, I was curious. Then I said, "Lord, I need to know. I know in the Bible there are fivefold ministries specifically, though everybody is called a pastor, but I want to be sure of what you call me for." So literally, I saw a hand grew from the wall. I wrote on my table. It was literal. I wasn't seeing a vision. I could see the hand came up with the ball pen, wrote on the table, 2 Timothy 1:11. That was, So I wrote that, and then I took the Bible. That was around 9 p.m. in the evening. So I took the Bible, I read it. It said, "I, Paul, call as an apostle, a preacher, a teacher to the Gentiles." So I knew that I was an apostle. And I'm called into the teaching ministry. And then something began to speak to me, because when my mother was saying when I was born, I fell into a kind of sickness that they couldn't cure. Right. And so my grandmother, that's my father's mother now had a dream. He said, the dream, I went to him and I said, they should call me teacher. That when they call me teacher, the sickness will go. So she woke up and called my dad and said, "This boy is a teacher. Just call him teacher." And so they came, they had a ceremony, traditional thing, had a ceremony, said that they want to name me. That is my name with which I came and all that. So now I call me teacher. And everybody was there, kind of like a birthday thing, but that's exactly what they did. So that was done, the sickness actually disappeared. So my mom used to call me teacher. I used to say, "No, I don't like to be called that name. I don't want anything teaching." So when I was going to higher institution, I got admission to University of Benin and Auchi Polytechnic. I said, "No, if I go to University of Benin, I'm going to be a teacher. I must go to Polytechnic so that, I can do practical work." So accidentally in 1984, when we finished university, there was no job. So I ended up being a teacher. So when I came back home, my mom now said, where are you? I said, "I'm in River State. What are you doing there?" I said, "I'm teaching." She said, "But you say you are not a teacher." So when this incident came up again, this revelation came from 2 Timothy 1:11, and I said, "Okay, so this is actually who I am." So it's settled there. So now, that is how, so I was still there until a minister came from Warri And then he said he heard about me, he heard about the things I'm teaching, because I was not teaching. We had a church now, so people sometimes when they are passing by, they hear me teach and all that. So they told the man, and the man said he want me to come and join him to do full-time ministry. No. I said I don't want. So he persisted. So one day, my principal invited me to his all-night program.
Yeah.
So while we're in the all-night program, the man called me out and said, the Lord just showed him that I'm writing with a chalk and I have another, the Bible on my other hand.
Yeah.
But the Lord told him that I'm supposed to live by the Bible and not with a chalk. So we did that. I said, okay, that's all right. But I wasn't interested.
Ready, yeah.
Then he drove down the next day, I think about 3 days after. He drove down to the village where I was, and he said he came to see me that I should come and join him in the ministry. He may not be able to pay me much, but he'll give me, he'll just subsidize my stay and so on and so forth. I looked at it, I said, man, no. I won't be able to do that. I need to keep my job. So he left. Then after a while, there's another friend of mine called Sunday Kuyade who was already with him. I now had a revelation. I was now really riding on a white bicycle, which speaks of ministry. And then I saw somebody like in a gutter. And the person looked up to me and he said, who are you looking for? I said, I'm looking for Sunday Kuyade. He said, but Sunday is not in Ugele. Sunday is in Warri. And they are expecting you there. They are waiting for you. So I woke up, it was a revelation. I said, man, this is serious. Then I said, okay, fine. So I came to the man, just have to talk. But I not said, no, I don't still want to go. The man is teaching, then we were operating a Sabbath. Yeah, the worship on Sabbath. I said, no, I can't go there. What am I going to teach? The man is a Sabbatarian, and then I'm not sure I'm going to be involved in all of those things. And then I went into fasting. I just wanted to be sure what God is saying. So I fasted for 3 days. On the third day, I had another revelation.
Yeah.
I was lying down where I was fasting, and from the wall, a book came out written by Helen G. White. The book just came in, went back, came in 3 times, and the voice came. My children are separating themselves because of the doctrine of Sabbath. Oh, as soon as that was said, I said, well, it's okay. Okay, I can take that. Then I went further again, I think about a week. And I said, but I'm not sure they will believe or understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then, again, that same night, he asked me to read, I think Deuteronomy 24, the book of Deuteronomy, quite all right, where it says, my doctrine shall distill as the dew, and will drop as the morning herbs, upon the grass. So the Lord was now speaking to me that I have to go, they will understand what I'm teaching. So having gotten all of these encounters, I had no option again. So I decided to resign fully in 1994.
Yeah.
And then to join this man in Warri to start with him